Welcome back, and next we have Helen Mack, our optimism coach, here in the fourth in the series of optimizing outcomes, and she's talking to us today about maintaining an optimistic mindset. Helen.
Hi, Linda.
Welcome back. So tell us more about how we can do that.
So we've been talking about this whole idea of optimizing outcomes, and the mindset is one of the foundation pieces. But it's really great to get your clarity right first and then get into momentum. And then as you're maximizing your momentum, it's important to maintain an optimistic mindset. And the key here is about optimism as a power to help you achieve greater outcomes. So optimism, the baseline word comes from the Latin optimus, which means the search for the good or the search for the best possible. And your viewers may remember our conversation about best possible in the first session. So an optimistic mindset allows us to take a different approach. Generally speaking, when we're looking at the world, I think we've been taught the wrong spectrum. Most people have been taught about positive thinking. But what most people think is that we're supposed to somehow be happy all the time. Bad news, life's not like that. We have ups and downs, we have tough times, and even as a professional optimist, I have bad days. The difference is that if you're looking at the positive thinking solution, then when you have a bad day, the reaction tends to be, now look, don't panic, don't stay calm, it's all fine, and then you need to just kind of chill out and think nice thoughts and everything will be okay. When we come across obstacles, they need to be something that's part of the reality that we're ready to cope with. So we still have bad days. Even you and I, who focus on this a lot, have days where you go, oh, it's just really, really hard today. The next step is the reality check step. And the reality check is 3 pieces. If you and I were going on a trip and we wanted to make sure that we get there in the nicest possible way, there are 3 things we need to identify. Where are we now? Where are we going? And what's the best way to get there? The optimistic mindset is exactly the same thing. Where am I now? What's going on in my world? What is it that I want to achieve? Going back to our clarity conversations of earlier. And then where do I want to end up? Given that we know that there may be detours and adjustments along the way, what's the ultimate goal currently? And then what's the best method for me to get there, including thinking about my resources? Now, resources might be physical resources, but they also might be people or time or money or effort or energy, so a variety of resources. Where am I now? Where do I want to go? And what have I got on my team, on my side, to get me there? Having done that, we then do the what's possible, best possible conversation that we covered in the first session, so that we can identify the best possible way to take action on that goal. And built into that is this idea that along the way, if we keep making choices around optimism, choices around best possible, then that conscious choice opens things up for us. We're more likely to see and seize opportunities that come along versus being closed to, no, I'm just going to do this. An optimistic mindset is also about opening our eyes to everything that is around us and seeing how can we get the best possible outcome from all of those things.
I suppose into that comes appreciation. Would that be right? Appreciation for what you're taking note of that? Would that be a valid
very much so.
point?
So appreciation of the journey, appreciation of the steps that you've managed to take, appreciation of the people around you. Gratitude is a very big part of an optimist's mindset. So being grateful and, very importantly, expressing that gratitude. So one of the ways to maintain an optimistic mindset is to be grateful for where you are and to express gratitude for the people around you who helped you get there. Another element of the optimistic mindset is learn from every experience. We're going to have some good and some bad, and we can learn from both of them. So learn from every experience is another element of the principles of maintaining an optimistic mindset. I think one of the other things that sometimes happens is that people kind of beat themselves up if there's not a learning. That's okay. It can just be a thing that happened, and we can process it and say, okay, I'm just going to learn not to do that again. That's enough of a learning. We don't have to have some kind of great revelation after we've had a bad experience.
And Helen, how does maintaining the mindset actually help us to optimise opportunities in our lives?
Lovely question, Linda. The thing about opportunities is that our ability to respond to those opportunities is very much about where our mindset is. So if we go right back to the first session around not possible, if an opportunity comes across our path and we go, oh, that's not for me, or that's not possible, or I can't do that, then we get closed down to that opportunity. An optimistic mindset says, what part of this might work for me? Is there something in here that I could do for a learning opportunity, for someone else that I care about, for a cause that matters to me? So as a very quick example, when I moved to Trentham with my late husband, the local Great Trentham Spud Fest was struggling. It was closed down. The people who were running it had kind of made it small. And an opportunity arose for me to become the big spud. I could have said, look, I'm just going to leave that to someone else. But I was new in the town, and I could see that this festival had great opportunities to bring everyone together. So it was an opportunity for me to practice my collaboration skills, to get more connected into the town. And over the next couple of years, I expanded the festival so that it's now a 4-precinct, whole of village, everyone involved, and a whole number of different ways to celebrate the potato, which is so critical to my hometown community. The optimistic mindset allowed me to keep asking, what's possible? What's the best possible outcome? Who should I bring in? So I used the clarity questions as well as the not possible, what's possible, best possible pieces of the optimistic approach to optimizing outcomes. Isn't that a lot of O's? And what it meant was that I had opportunities that I would never have had to connect in with my community and to make a difference to a whole bunch of people that I really like. So my recommendation to your viewers is, when you're faced with an opportunity that feels a bit big, just use that creating clarity step and then ask the what's possible question. What's possible for me? What's the best possible outcome? And then just take that tiny wee step forward.
Wonderful, wonderful. That first step's always sometimes the hardest and can be the
most
simplest.
Important.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wonderful, thank you. And we'll go to break now. And if you'd like more information on Helen Mack and maintaining an optimistic mindset, then please go to her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. See you back next time with Helen on Taking Action. Welcome back, and now we have Dr. Zara Chelik, an integrative health and wellness expert, and she's talking to us today about gut health. So welcome, Zara. For our viewers, how would they know when somebody's having gut health problems?
Yeah, absolutely. So I normally would recommend and encourage people to pay attention to the physical symptoms. So the symptoms are actually telling us and giving us feedback about what is happening internally in terms of gut health. So certain symptoms could be, and not exactly, but it could be such as bloating, having diarrhea, constipation, flatulence, or also, indigestion, heartburn, things like that can indicate that the gut health is not performing really well.
Okay, so what's important for our viewers to know in that instance?
It is important that we recognize there are symptoms and our physiology is giving us feedback to let us know something isn't right. So consulting with your healthcare practitioner, maybe getting a stool test done to see the root cause of your symptoms. It could be maybe a parasite, again, it could be maybe candida yeast overgrowth in the digestive health. The symptoms are giving feedback to let the individual know something isn't quite right. So I will encourage our viewers to get in touch with their body, connect with the body, and recognize the symptoms. Maybe keep a food diary to see what serves them in terms of nutrition and what doesn't. And to, again, consult their healthcare practitioner and get a stool test done and take it from there.
What would you say happens for people when they've got those symptoms?
Well, immune system can be compromised or not functioning, at optimum level. The individual may feel phlegm in the morning, congestion in the nasal cavity, maybe puffiness under the eyes. They may find they are frequently getting colds and flus, or they have inflammation in the body, or the energy levels a little bit low, could indicate to the individual that gut health needs some attention as well.
Right, and that would include tiredness, I suppose, is that?
Well, they could be, but then tiredness could lead, come on from other things as well. So I wouldn't particularly say tiredness, but definitely foggy brain could be one of the things. If the person's feeling, foggy brain or a bit sluggish in terms of energy levels, the gut health again may play a role. Again, it's just more the physical symptoms, that food intolerance, that people think, oh yeah, I'm intolerant, I just, cut this food out. I encourage people to really get to know the root cause. That's what's really important. So we are not really depleted and the microbiome is functioning well and we're absorbing our nutrients. We're not having any deficiencies such as iron deficiency and things like that. In that regards, in that sense, it is important that people find the root cause. So nothing is actually eating our reserves and depleting us from our nutrients.
Would you suggest a particular type of nutrition for people with gut health problems?
Yeah, so again, everyone's bio-individual. I will encourage everyone to connect with the physical body and see what really serves their bi-individuality, because there is not one particular food or nutrition fits and serves everyone's needs. So it is important that we connect with what we're eating and also seeing how that food serves us. Do we get certain symptoms to let us know that it doesn't resonate with our body? And if that's the case, that may not necessarily serve that particular individual. So bi-individual diet is what I actually encourage people to get onto.
What would be the top tip be for people to bear in mind about gut health?
Yeah, so keeping an eye on your stress levels, keeping an eye on how you are eating. Are you practicing mindful eating? Are you swallowing? Are you a quick eater? They all sort of play a role when it comes to taking care of our gut health. Not to eat with emotions is definitely a good tip because we can go with our emotions and start eating, but it may not necessarily be the right thing at that time. So the body may be telling us something else. For example, somebody could be angry or upset, or stress can be a bit heightened, and they may sort of, go and suppress that with eating. And in that state, when we're eating in that stressful state, in that heightened state, the nervous system is not balanced. The parasympathetic nervous system is not active. The autonomic nervous system is in balance. So if an individual eats in that stressful state, then really they are eating at sympathetic level, nervous system being overactive, in overdrive, which doesn't serve the body, which doesn't really serve the digestive health. So I will encourage people to really pay attention to their state when they're eating as well.
Do you have any particular advice for our viewers just before we go to break?
Absolutely. So connect to see what your body is telling you, and it is important that you pay attention and really respect your body, to really connect, to understand that your body is conveying a message to you and that you do respect your body's needs and you act upon those symptoms.
Thank you. And for more information on Dr. Zara and gut health, then please go to her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. Next time, Dr. Zara will be back talking to us about how to detox your life. Welcome back. And now we have Pauline Rooney back with us, our Yoga for Wellbeing instructor and author. And today the topic is chair yoga. So Pauline, welcome.
Thanks, Linda. It's lovely to be back.
And chair yoga, how is that? What does chair yoga entail?
That's a really great question, and it's something that many people get confused about and wonder if it's the same or, well, it's not the same, but it is. That's a bit of a contradiction. If you can do a posture on the floor, you can do it in a chair. And the advantage of doing yoga in a chair is you might have had an injury, you might not feel like getting onto the floor, you may not have the space to get onto the floor. Or you might be a little bit more gorgeous in years, so therefore you're unable to get onto the floor. But yoga is all about the three. It's the breathing, it's the posture, and it is the mindset. So therefore, if you can have those three on a mat, you can have those three on a chair. It's very simple to do the same types of things. If you do a back bend on a mat, you can do a back bend on a chair. And it's a matter of same principle. You lift, you extend your spine, and you take your sternum back. A back bend's not leaning back. It's lifting and leaning the spine backward. So therefore, we can do that on a chair. We can do our spinal twists on a chair. Just like that. You'd always do it to both sides. Even to the triangle poses in the standing, we won't stand, but you hang on to your chair. I'm a great believer in safety, Linda. If you're on wheels, you must lock them down or have your chair very secure. Safety's paramount. So you'd come out the side of your chair, checking the shoulders not up, that it's down, and you'd ease out like that. Now that's a lateral or a side bend to your spine. Same as on the floor. You do that on both sides, you see. So it keeps the body moving. Any movement is good movement. We don't just do the movement and forget about our breath and our mind application to it. So we would say breathe in and turn and breathe out, and then breathe naturally, and then breathe in and coming back, and then breathe out. So your breath movement is the same on the mat as it is in a chair. Forward bends, we can bring the legs out a little bit and stretch our spine. You'd never arch up because you wouldn't do that on the mat. So you extend and you come forward. Ankle work. How often have we heard, oh, my ankles are weak and I find it hard to balance or to walk? In your chair, circle your ankles. You'd go both ways and you'd do both ankles, and just that very gentle movement, that will help. The other one that I really like for bone density, hands back on the chair, right foot always slightly forward, and that has to do with the positioning of lifting. When you see people standing, they often come forward and lift like that. That's too much strain. So by putting that foot forward, holding your chair back, you lift from there. It's a straight lift. You can come straight up to stand, but that's enough work. Even if you're unable to lift, you can still push like that. You're still getting the bone density work in your arms. So it's a matter of modifying, but creating the same outcome. It's the outcome, it's the intent, your breath, your mindset. Again, you keep your mind focused. If you're on the mat, you're internalizing what you're doing, your breathing, your posture, your alignment. It's exactly the same on the chair. You're not thinking about anything else. You're really working into that body part. The other one, we often hear people say, oh, but what about our heart rate, the cardiovasculars? We've got that covered in chair yoga and mat yoga. And I like to call this a tushy swoosh, because we're going to hang on and swoosh our tushy from side to side. Slow is great, or you can go quite fast. You're safe because you're not standing up and what have you, and your cardiovasculars will pump along quite nicely. So there's many of those types of things. You can hang onto your chair and move your feet back and forward. Again, that is fantastic for the ankles, the knees, the hip, also the abdomen, because you're lifting to bring your legs out, so that's working there too. There's many, many things we can do in that chair. All of these will help us in balance, and we all know that we need to balance when we're on our feet. So lifting the leg and extending and swinging back like that, you're strengthening your hip joint area, and therefore, of course, that helps when you stand up, the strength in the hip joint.
So I suppose with people especially with ongoing over the last several years, with more work being done on computers, from work from home, online, no matter what the age group. I suppose that this is something that people can think about when they're having even during the work.
Oh, most definitely, most definitely. This covers right across the range. Children, they're on games, and the average time for children under the age of 16 is 8 hours, and that's a lot of screen time on top of their schooling time, right? And then I think at 16 and over it becomes 15 hours and more. That I'd be very conservative in saying that. And if they're gaming or chatting to friends, they too can do this, and they don't even realise that they're doing something great for their body. You know, it's really important. And I must say, I notice that both of us smile, and that's a really good thing to do too, because it takes about 16 muscles to smile and 32 to frown. So it's very harsh on the face if you're frowning a little bit too much. So smiling is good. It also changes the mindset, right? So if you're feeling a bit sad and you're sitting there feeling, I'm sad, it doesn't do the mind, the body any good, Linda. So a big smile and a big breath and a little movement will change your day completely. It's really important. And teach our children to do these things. If they can learn at a very early age that it's simple to do, because they're busy. We're all busy. We don't always have time to get onto the mat every day. We might go to a class, but if we do something every day in the chair, we would notice a huge difference. It'd be fantastic.
What would your best advice be for people could take with them today?
Oh, the best tip I could give is what I call juicing up your knees. And our knees get stiff and sore. This one, you blow into your hands, rub them, have your fingers down, because that helps to warm up more quickly. Warm them up, cup your hands. We just have the lightly over there, and it's like a figure 8 lying down, and we move our knees around like that about 7 times. That's all you need to do, and then go back the other way. And I can pretty much guarantee you're going to find a huge difference in those knees. They're going to love you so much for juicing them up. It's amazing. If you're in the garden or sitting, anything like that, it's fantastic.
Wonderful. Thanks, Pauline.
You're very welcome.
And we'll be back next week with more amazing guests. But in the meantime, for more about Pauline Rooney and yoga for well-being, and particularly chair yoga, then please go to her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And we'll see you next week.